Hi there, Galen here, design team member for Unity Stamp Company. Today I have a watercolor creation for you, and I'm using the Unity Stamp Company kit called a Little Mousy. And this is a cute kit. It is filled with tiny little mice and accessories and sentiments, and I decided to use one of them holding a little tree, and I added some gifts. It's really a sweet kit. I am also going to use Ken Oliver Crafts Color Burst powders for watercolor. I'm using their colors in Field Day and Lemon Drop. Those can be found on My Favorite Things store in a set of 3 each. I have My Creative Time lace edge dies or lace border dies. I'm using Canson watercolor paper and double-sided green card base. I'm using a mini Misty for stamping and a long watercolor brush. Now I have a little palette tray that I'm going to add a tiny bit. I'm just going to tap a tiny bit of the yellow and the green and different little watercolor wells. I'm going to add a mini mister spray bottle. I'm going to add water from that spray bottle to each of those wells, just a little bit, enough to mix the color and dilute it enough so that we could use that color for watercolor. Now I'm going to use a pre-cut strip of watercolor paper that I measured to fit on the card base and the card front, and I like to use a layer of water first. I lay water down onto that panel, and I go by color. I am going to add some yellow, and now I'm going to add some green, and I'm going to add water eventually to mix these together, but I just wanted to apply a bright background that will eventually get it diluted a little bit with more water. And I just move them around to get the desired strength of color and mixture. And I like to allow the colors to bleed together in backgrounds like this. And so you see some water puddles there. I just like to move around. I pick up the card base or the card watercolor panel and move it around just to blend those colors even more. And to pick up the water wells there you see on the watercolor paper, I just dab a tiny bit of paper towel edge to that, and then I heat set it front and back with a heat tool. Now I'm using the mini Misty to stamp a mouse and a sentiment and a little gift. Before I do that, I'm going to dry that panel completely and add some powder before I add embossing powder to prevent stray embossing powder. So after I stamp with Versamark ink, I add white embossing powder, then heat set that. And I'm going to go in and stamp a few more presents on the other side of the image there. And I'll also use Versamark ink for stamping and heat emboss in white embossing powder again. Heat set that, and it's ready to go ahead and assemble. Now I die cut on vellum these lace accents. I'm going to use a lace accent for the top and the bottom of this watercolor panel, and then I just trim off the right and left sides with a scissor. I add foam tape and place that right onto the card base to finish. The only other thing I added was a few adhesive dots just for embellishment. I hope you like this. Thanks for watching. I hope you take a moment to like and follow and subscribe to my YouTube. Thank you. Have a good day.